Hello, everyone. Welcome. We put the online course video to make some time and, of course, to welcome you all. Give a very important update on some of the work we've been making. So, my name is Juan Pablo Guerrero. I am the Network Director of the Global Initiative for Fiscal Transparency. And I am here with the wonderful gift coordination team composed by Raquel Ferreira, Aura Martinez, Marianne Fabian, Leticia Flores, we call her Leti. And today we're missing Albertina. You all know her, but Albertina is still part of our team. Hopefully she will join us further in other sessions. So this is the opening session of the Stewards General Meeting 2023. According to our rules, the Stewards General Meeting is the most important happening of our network. This is the advisory body of the GIFT network. And as stewards, you are invited and you are expected to come to this meeting to know about the network happenings, evolutions, transitions, changes, and to be part of this evolution progress by sharing your progress, your challenges, your obstacles to continue advancing fiscal transparency and public participation in budget processes. So we are very happy to host you in this meeting. The meeting should take place at least once a year. We are now celebrating our meetings in a virtual mode. And we, in this first session, expect you to come to the table, tell us your updates, and present on the progress of your efforts to advance our agenda. This session will be facilitated by my colleague Raquel. Let me just quickly refer to the main objectives of the 2023 Stewards General Meeting. The primary objectives of these sessions, which will engage us for 2 days, although we don't have many sessions. People are much more into in-person gatherings now. So we just holding 4 sessions that we believed were absolutely crucial to make sure that everyone had a chance to come to the table, speak to each other, and update on your news on our topics. So the main objectives of this year's Stewards General Meeting are, of course, as said, to provide updates on GIFT membership and progress on the implementation of GIFT's works plan. We will do that tomorrow in the early morning session. We also seek to facilitate, as usual, knowledge sharing on challenges, accomplishments, and lessons learned by GIFT stewards from the latest fiscal openness efforts and innovations. And finally, we are looking to address the ongoing and anticipated transitions within our GIFT network. And we are going to be talking about sustainability plans to ensure the network's long-term effectiveness and to continue with the relevance it has had so far in promoting fiscal transparency. The session, as usual, has been recorded. As usual, we are providing the session in 3 languages. I'm speaking in the main language of the floor, but you can choose your language on the buttons that are underneath the screen, either Spanish or French. About this, I'm sure Raquel will give us more details, and we also will be referring very quickly to the rules of our engagements, which you all know. I'm so happy to see friendly faces. And when I say friendly faces, it's people that are really, really close friends, people that have been pushing this agenda for a long time along and as part of the network effort. So thank you all. People from the Philippines, so late there. Thank you, Rolando. So good to see you always. I see Ricardo. I see Ketevan, also late in Tbilisi. Thank you so much, Paula Manera. So many good friends. Suki, Eric, Andrew Blasey, Carmela from Inesc, all of you. Kay Brown, what a wonderful surprise. Janet Lopez, gracias. Crépin, merci. Dites bonjour, s'il vous plaît, à tous nos amis du Bénin. On vous accueille avec plaisir toujours. So thank you so much.
We're just saying good morning to all of our dear friends of Benin, and it's such an honor to have you here.
As we always are in these exchanges, at ease with the confidence that we are among friends. Raquel, lead us through the session, if you please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Juan Pablo, for that very warm welcome to the start of the meeting for 2023. To all of the stewards on this virtual call, welcome. It's great to have you all here. To get started on the session, as Juan Pablo said, there are some house rules that will just help us to facilitate the meetings and make the meetings pleasant for all of us. So as he said, there is language interpretation in 3 languages. So the meetings will be held in English, but at any time you can switch languages to Spanish or French that are available at the bottom of your screen. So please feel free to select that. If there are any issues at any stage, please let us know in the chat function or simply raise your hand. And if we need to reset the translation, we will do so. Kindly also rename yourself. I know some of us have perhaps registered or things go differently, or someone has sent us a link. So kindly just ensure that the name that appears on your screen is your own one. And to do that is simply to press on the 3 dots on the top hand, right hand screen and just rename yourself. If you are joining by phone, so sometimes when you join, it merely has a name that's called iPhone. We'd prefer you to put your phone and your organization name, please. Also, if you are able to, please have your video on. We love seeing your beautiful faces. But we do understand that at times there are connection issues. So if you need to switch off your video, please feel absolutely free to do so. Just for ease of audio, please mute your microphone if you are not speaking. Also, if possible, use headphones. When presenting, kindly speak slowly. This is to facilitate the interpretation. in the two languages simultaneously, so in French and Spanish. Please also use the reactions button that you find at the bottom of your screen to raise your hand whenever you would like to speak. You can also use the chat function. So the GIF coordination team, we're monitoring the chat function. So if there's anything that you'd like to bring to our attention, please either raise your hand or use the chat function and we'll see your messages there. Also, please be advised that as Juan Pablo said, this session, as well as all the other sessions, are going to be recorded as we usually do. And this is really for documentation purposes so that we can always come back to the session and watch it again should we need to. So those are the house rules. Thank you very much, Maria. So as Juan Pablo said in his welcoming remarks, this Stewards General Meeting for 2023 consists of 4 different sessions. Session 1 is the one that we are currently in. The main aim of the session is to get updates from the GIFT stewards. There are a number of you that have kindly indicated in the survey that was completed prior to the session that you'd like to provide updates. So we have taken note of that and we'll call upon you to provide those updates during the session. However, if you have not indicated that you'd like to provide updates, we do have enough time to get updates from you, even if you have not indicated in the survey. So please feel free to just raise your hand or indicate in the chat function that you'd like to provide an update, and we will give the floor over to you. Please also feel free to share a presentation or not share a presentation. So it does not have to be a very formal update. You are welcome to just jump on the line and provide an informal update from your institution. Then this is going to be followed by a very exciting session, session 2, that is going to be later on today. So it's going to be in the evening in the Americas and in the morning on the other side of the globe. So a time that is going to be a bit easier for our stewards in the Philippines. Once again, thank you to the Philippines for being up so late with us this evening. And that's on user engagement initiatives. And it's really showcasing the 2023 data quests and data rally journeys. And that is going to be facilitated by my colleague, Aura Martinez, that has done a lot of work with different teams in this area. So do tune into that session later on today. Then at the same time, tomorrow, we've got the GIFT Stewards General Assembly. So that is one of the most important meetings or sessions of this 2-day agenda. At this meeting, you'll get updates from the GIFT coordination team about GIFT's work progress, as well as the transition taking place at GIFT. So be sure to join us for that. And then later on, tomorrow, after session 3, just a bit later, we will have session 4. Session 4 is about the guidelines for digital solutions for PFM. That is being facilitated by our lead stewards, the International Monetary Fund. So by Lorena Riviero, that a lot of us know as a dear colleague that used to be part of GIFT in the past. The IMF have released very exciting guidelines with digital solution for PFM. So that is a session not to be missed, to see more, to tell us more about those guidelines, including how they are being implemented in practice. So we will hear there from the Philippines as well, and other stewards. So thank you very much. As you can see, we've got a great set of sessions lined up for you. So please join us for all the sessions that you can. We're looking forward to seeing you in each one. Now, moving straight into the session one objectives. So really it's to get updates from you, our stewards. Our most important part of the GIFT network is the stewards that make up this network. So the idea is that we get what are your latest milestones and achievements in promoting fiscal transparency and inclusive public participation in the budget process. So we're going to hear what you've been doing, what you plan to do over the next 3 years. So what are the specific actions or plans that you can commit or implement relevant to the goals of the GIFT network, which are really to promote fiscal transparency and inclusive public participation in the budget process. So having said that, without further ado, I'm going to invite our stewards to provide their updates. I think given that it is so late in the Philippines, Under Secretary Toledo, if you don't mind going first, we'd love to hear the updates from one of our key lead stewards, the Philippines. Thank you.
Definitely. Yes, Raquel. Yes. Yeah. So thank you very much. Yeah. Good evening from the Philippines, and good morning and good afternoon to everyone. All right. So I want to share about the Philippines update in terms of achieving in promoting fiscal transparency and public participation in the budget process. First of all, the commitment of the DBM on the Fiscal Openness Working Group is to lead the development and implementation of a unified fiscal openness policy in the department and the implementation of the its strategies in order to institutionalize our efforts in terms of improving fiscal openness in the Philippines. Okay, so that's one. As far as that, the working group continues to work with the Office of our Legislative Department, which is the Congressional Policy and Budget Research Department, and Legislative Budget Research and Monitoring Office. Basically, the one I mentioned earlier is from our Congress, and the Legislative Budget Research and Monitoring is from our Senate. And of course, with the Commission on Audit to improve the country's performance in terms of budget oversight and citizens' participation as benchmarked against the standard set in the open budget. The institutionalization of the PHOGP, which I shared to you last July, which was actually through the issuance of the president or the signing of a executive order. Now we have an advocacy campaign which was launched to expand the extent of engagement of government and non-government reformers with the public, making OGP process and spaces more responsible and agile to demands of the reform. We target OGPNAS, means which aims to respond to the emerging strategies or directions of OGP by investing more in people and equipping them with the necessary skills and knowledge to drive progress towards a more open government. So we have done 5 legs going around the Philippines. We have done in the National Capital Region, to the Luzon, the Mindanao, and Visayas. Okay. Now again, in an effort to enhance citizens' participation and advance fiscal transparency at the local level, the DBM, together with our Department of Local Government, Interior and Local Government, conducted consultation with a number of our local government units to encourage them to join what we call the OGP local program, wherein this will provide, of course, more opportunities for open government initiatives to be implemented at the local level. Given this, currently we have engaged 8 local government units, which also they also signify the interest to submit the application to the program. Related to our CSOs, there is what we call establishment of the CSO Academy that is in our Mindanao region, and its capacity development training. So with the establishment of the country's first CSO Academy in Region 12, that is the Mindanao area, through the partnership, of course, of our DILG, which is the Department of Interior and Local Government, the DBM, and their NGO partners, the Mahintana Foundation Incorporated, an association of foundations, capacity development trainings were conducted for CSO leaders, okay, who played major roles in local governance. So basically, these CapDev courses aim to enhance the capacities and competencies of the CSOs in the implementation of development and improve internal governance and sustainability. As a matter of fact, the first batch of 20 scholars started in November 2022 with component 1, which is focusing on organizational development of the CSOs in the internal governance, and ended with component 2 local governance in August of this year. They are set to graduate by the end of this month. So we're looking forward to that again. So I guess that is our update as far as what's happening in the Philippines, aside from, of course, we have a side event together with, of course, GIF as far as the Global Summit in Tallinn, Estonia, which, of course, our very good friend, Marian, also join us in this kind of innovation talks, and then at the same time in thematic sessions from inclusion to impact, harnessing power of the people to make public budgets more responsive. Okay, so yeah, probably moving forward, we are looking forward to of course improve in our feedback mechanism loop through our budget preparation forum, wherein a report of CSO's inputs and recommendation on agency new and expanded programs and projects. This is one we want to include in the requirements of the agencies to provide the CSO with the feedback on how the proposals of the CSOs were included in the agency budget proposal, providing them a copy of BP Form D as submitted to the DBM. So we want to have that rather enhance or strengthen that one. Though it's already available, we want to enhance that. Okay. And another one, I guess, is the subcommittee on fiscal openness was proposed to establishment under our interagency committee on good governance. This will help institutionalize government efforts to improve the state of fiscal openness in the country pursuant to the policy increasing transparency and public participation in government, and oversee the fiscal openness initiatives of key government agencies. And lastly, we're looking at publication of our citizens version of the mid-year report, because as of now, we only publish the citizens version of our proposed budget and the enacted budget. So we're looking at publishing this version of our mid-year report in the citizens version. So I guess that's all from the Philippines updates, and I guess our moving forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Great updates as usual from the Philippines. Always a lead institution in terms of innovative practices in fiscal transparency and public participation. Congratulations once again. And we have to say, we love your Christmas decorations at the back.
Yeah.
We can see there's a common theme with Marianne. So it's Christmas really in the Philippines. It's
the longest Christmas. Right. Okay.
Marianne has told us that Christmas in the Philippines starts in September. So a uh, wonderful season. Thank you very much for those updates.
Thank you. Welcome.
Now, if we can kindly jump to my home continent of Africa, and more specifically South Africa, where KEBRI is based. Dr. Kate Brown, if you can kindly please provide updates from KEBRI.
Thank you very much, and warm welcome to everybody. We are actually having a heat wave, so it's really warm. We obviously also enjoy Christmas, but not for as long, but we do appreciate Christmas. So it was very good to see that. I just want to put this slideshow up. I'm not sure if you can see it. Okay, I'm not seeming to get it onto slideshow, but I'm not sure if it is on slideshow.
No, it's not on slideshow. We can see all the slides on the side.
Okay, so I'm really trying here. Let me see how I'm going to do this. It's seeming not to give me the option of slideshow where I want. Okay, there we go. Now it's activated. There we go. Is it up?
I think there's just a short delay because it's still
all
looking.
Right. I think let me start off, and let me firstly say it is such a great pleasure to be back at the Gift Stewards meeting. I think it's a long time since I left, and I left in a very different capacity, representing South Africa, and certainly would have been doing that together with Zuki, who I also see is in the meeting. And it's my absolute pleasure now to be representing South Africa still, but in a different capacity, and more broadly the continent of Africa. We are the Collaborative Africa Budget Reform Initiative. I'm not sure when last we've actually made a formal input at a GIFT meeting, but I thought I'll also just quickly give you a refresher if you don't have. Our main business is that we are a network of senior budget officials across our member countries, and our members are constituted of African countries. And we support senior budget officials in making their country budgets and in solving the PFM problems that they face. So essentially, we're really about strengthening systems, about accountability, about transparency, and about participation, so that we actually, at the end of the day, do have service delivery and sustainable economic growth and development. Just a quick picture. The member countries are indicated in blue, and watch that space, or dark blue, and watch that space as we intend to increase our footprint. We're in a very exciting strategic planning phase, and our management committee, which is our board, is very aspirational. So we plan to do more important work. Just to give you a quick picture of some of the work that we have been doing in our last planning period.
The slides don't seem to be changing.
Oh, they're changing on my end. Sorry. They are changing on maybe should I stop sharing and then just ask Marion to quickly come in?
Yes, I think
sure,
we could try that.
Okay, I've stopped sharing, but I'll carry on talking so that I don't waste your time. And I'm actually only supposed to have had 3 minutes. So
right. Take your time.
All right. So the key thing about KEBRI, and the unique thing about KEBRI, is our collaborative approach. We're very interested in PFM reforms, but we're interested in them. You can stop there. We're interested in them. There we go. We're interested in them in terms of how we do them, because we really do want the reforms to be what works for the country that is implementing them, to be something that is worked at iteratively over time, and something where we keep looking for evidence of results. We use 2 main methodologies to do that. We've refined a policy dialogue methodology that works for us in terms of more effectively providing assistance and peer learning and exchange to countries, which is how we started, actually. KEBRI grew methodology that we customize, which is the problem-driven iterative adaptation. And we call that our Building Public Finance Capabilities programs. In terms of our BPFC, we've been running at the moment with 3 of them. We've got the BPFC Isario that we're doing with UNICEF, where we are supporting countries in solving some of the problems relating to service delivery to children. We also have our voluntary tax compliance BPFC, where the theme is voluntary tax payment, which I know sounds like a bit of an oxymoron, but the idea, of course, is that with transparency and accountability, people will be more likely to pay their taxes. And then lastly, we have the main program, which is, we call it our BPFs in Africa, where we basically deal with different problems that are volunteered by our country members. Really, we're interested in the praxis in terms of what works. So we're not the academic institution wanting to write academic papers. We're also not the international institutions that's main business is focusing on standards for compliance across countries or guidelines. Yes, we do have good PFM practice that we hope to distill, but always the focus on contextualizing and more so in terms of what the problems are in following good guidance and so on. We're really interested in what works. We also have other programs. We have network engagement, which is an ongoing one, not a specific program, which deals with public debt management. And that obviously is an increasing area of work given the fiscal pressures that all countries face, but obviously also within the African continent more specifically, where problems of PFM were slightly bigger to start with pre-COVID. We then also have our other areas of work. We particularly are planning to deepen our work on what we call our Budget Practices and Procedures Survey, which will look at how countries go about doing their budgeting business. We've done a study in 2008. There was a repeat study in 2015, and we plan to do a repeat coming up. So then we'll have, a basis off of which to have a conversation across the member countries and to share learnings from that. We also want to update our Africa Debt Monitor, which looks at key debt ratios, and particularly importantly, and which came up very pertinently at our last General Assembly meeting, which was 2 weeks back in Kigali. The key issue is high interest costs, which in many cases exceeds whole sector budgets. So it's really quite an oppressive force on budgets, and all budgets are under pressure. We appreciate that. Also, we have we do have some planned policy dialogues. Very importantly, we plan to do some work on digitization of PFM in Africa. We plan to look very specifically, because we are Capri, at how digitization improves PFM systems and PFM decision-making, but focused very specifically on what works and service delivery. And I'm sure that as we do that with that particular focus, we will certainly have to do more work on the interface and citizen participation. Our aim here is not to look at broad digitization guidelines. We know that there's a lot of work on that. We'll obviously also supplement that work and link up and infuse that work. But we will really be focused on trying to find the different projects where countries have used digitization and that we don't think is recorded and that we even don't know about across our own network of members. This just gives you a little bit of a picture of the areas that we work in. And I think, there are no surprises there. and the methodologies that we use. I have mentioned the policy, it's fine, you can move on. I have mentioned the policy dialogues and the building public finance capabilities programs, but we also do have our knowledge sharing products, and we do country capability studies. So for example, we did 2, we've done one for Nigeria this year, as well as for Ghana. But our focus is obviously also on assisting those countries and how they take that back into their budget processes. You can move on to the last slide. And that just tells you where you can follow us if you'd like to. And I think the nexus of our work with that of gift should be quite apparent. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kay, for that great update from Cadbury, Gift Stewards, and thank you for coming back into the gift fold and really highlighting that nexus between a gift and Cadbury and all the wonderful work that is being done in Africa that ties in with a lot of work that is being done by a lot of the lead stewards and a lot of the stewards in the gift network, such as on digitalization and all that it brings from not only an efficiency perspective, but also a transparency perspective, and how it facilitates public participation and accountability at the end of the day. So thank you very much for that. Now, if we can jump from Africa to the Americas, we've got Carmela Pereira from INESC. Carmela, if you could please provide us an update from our dear Stuart that is based in Brazil, doing great work there from a civil society perspective. Carmela, bem-vindo. If you can, please go ahead. Thank you.
Gracias. Hello, everyone. So I'll take this initial comment of Juan Pablo to start. The evolution and progress do not move in one direction, and Brazil is an example of this. Transparency has caused fear in sectors that traditionally have been appropriating what's public in my country. During the Bolsonaro government, the transparency legislation was attacked, and procedures among public institutions have become more and more opaque. One example was the extensive list of secrecy decrees for the expenditures of the president that are under investigation now. The councils for social participation were extinguished by decree, and the Supreme Court voted to maintain at least the ones that are guaranteed by law. Also, the parliament, the most conservative one since our democratization in 1988, has been approving new rules to have more power over the budget, which was nominated by the press as secret budget. A huge amount of money used as individual amendments to send budgets to cities, considering only the choices of the congressmen individually. The Supreme Court concealed this kind of practice last year, but the parliament approved other rules this year to guarantee that this power over the budget continues. We are working in INESC with other organizations to elaborate proposals to the government and the parliament to create new mechanisms of transparency in this new budget reality, because this is not changing. This could be a case for GIFT to monitor as an international network, because it is a context of a huge change in budget cycle and rules implemented without participation. We keep monitoring the public budget through open data in various agendas: women, racial equality, social environmental rights of indigenous peoples, education, health, children and adolescents, and the right to the city, that include urban mobility, housing, access to water, and other policies. And also, we keep doing the OBS with IBP. We also keep participating in the working groups established by the Superior Court that forced the government of Bolsonaro to carry out public pandemic policies for Quilombola and indigenous populations. In the case of Quilombolas, we identified as an ask several problems in relation to transparency in the execution of budget for health, and we did advocacy in Supreme Court for the government to implement actions to present the data to society, and a monitoring panel was created by the Ministry of Health. Now we are using the access to information law to demonstrate that the data about water access for these groups are not reliable. This year, we carried out research with support from the Malala Fund on education data on subnational transparency portals and identified many problems with transparency of budget data. Next year starts the phase of advocacy on that. Also this year, we became part of the National Council for Transparency, Integrity, and Combating Corruption. Is a new council created this year by the new government. Is a consultative body linked to structure of Controller General of the Union, and is a collegiate body made up of representatives from the government and civil society, 30 members of civil society and 11 from the government. We also carry out research on tax justice, gender and race, with the aim of influencing the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. The study was launched about 3 months ago, and now we are talking about this study with feminist movements and other women movements, and we will do the advocacy in March of next year. I think it's that. It's very objective because I read to not use a lot of time, but we are trying to influence the transparency that we lose these years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carmela. Thank you for sharing the challenges that you are facing as a country, and what you are doing to try and use the existing mechanisms that you currently have to try and foster, transparency, to enforce your rights, to participate in processes, and also looking at what new mechanisms you are trying to establish to try and facilitate this, strengthen this. So yes, please do feel free to use the GIFT network as you've done in the past. In the past, you've inspired a lot of countries within this network. Now you, in these challenging times, please feel free to use the network to assist you as much as possible in trying to overcome the challenges that you face. So there are mechanisms that can be leveraged. Please call on us when you need any of us to assist you. And we do wish you the very best in this challenging journey that is being faced by you, but there's also other countries in the network that face similar challenges at this point in time. So thank you very much for sharing that with us. Now, if we can stay with civil society, we've got Zukizwa Kota, a dear colleague from South Africa, from the Public Service Accountability Monitor. I know Zuki was having some connectivity issues because she's transitioning from between 2 offices. Zuki, are you with us? I'm not sure.
Hi, Raquel. I'm sorry, I am. I'm just about to get into the other office and settle down. I was hoping to connect on my laptop and be visible on camera. Are you maybe?
Let me perhaps ask if there's anyone that would like to share an update at this point.
Great, thanks. And then I'll connect quickly now.
I think Ketevani is ready.
I can do a quick update.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you
very
very
happy
much.
to be here and see all the familiar faces. And thank you very much for having us continuously on the network. And as you know, Europe Foundation is working mostly with the civil society organizations. And through the civil society organization, we work with the Ministry of Finance and with the local governments. And we keep promoting gift principles with the ministry that is also the member of the gift network and with the local governments. But we also invest a lot in building capacities of civil society organizations, both in the capital and in the regions, and as well as with specific groups, for example, with the disability groups that represent disability or disability organizations to work on engaging and monitoring the government and being part of the budgetary process. So with this in mind, we throughout the years, we did a number of training activities that usually there's learning events, meaning that the participant usually also take the tests. We work with the local partner, but we also work with the gift network. And this year we had the pleasure of having two members from the gift who visited us and did the training. Fabian did the training, but then we also had Aura who came for other business as well, meeting with UNICEF, but we also met with her, like our colleagues also met with her. So, and together with the training activities, we continue to give grant to civil society organizations to take these principles and the standards of gift into the practice. And this year, we also supported a number of civil society organizations that implementing projects on different issues, but the budgetary process and the budgetary their engagement in the budgetary project or oversight of the spending is always there. So this is a brief update, and the other direction that we want to look into is how to use and empower some of our work with application of AI. And if anyone else is interested in this topic, would be happy to talk. Because I have been exploring, I'm spending some time at Harvard and MIT and exploring this opportunity. But I think this network knows most like what we do and how we can encourage both civil society actors, but also the government institutions to use AI for, we're more focusing on participation for the participation and transparency. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Juan Pablo, I note you've got your hand up. Did you want to make an intervention now?
I was just queuing up for Keteran's intervention, updates, and the work of Europe Foundation. A very close steward for the gift coordination team, of course, and also welcoming her invitation to start a conversation on artificial intelligence. This is a topic in which we have somehow all been either concerned, involved, practicing. And so this is a conversation that we welcome very much. I see Suki is ready now and with her screen on. So I'll give the microphone to you, Raquel, for continuing with the session.
Thank you very much, Juan Pablo. Yes, and thank you very much to the Europe Foundation for highlighting all of that very important work that you're doing and with vulnerable, marginalized groups and really trying to promote the practical implementation of the GIFT principles. We're going to go to Zuki next. I've also taken note that Michaela Bronek from Croatia is going to provide us with an update from the Institute of Public Finance there. And then I saw a hand up from Blanche Would you like to provide an update next, or did you have a question that you wanted to put through? Okay, I'm not seeing a Blanche again. So, Zuki, please go ahead with the updates. Thank you.
Thanks, Raquel, and thanks everyone. Thanks for humoring me with my transition. I was running between offices, and I think Kay mentioned earlier that it's quite hot at the moment. I think it's hotter in Joburg at the moment than it is here, but I'm still sweating. So that's the one value of a remote meeting, is that no one can really see the sweat and no one can smell it either. So virtual is positive in this regard. Thank you so much for this session. Every year it's just exciting to be part of GIFT meetings and GIFT report backs, learning so much. My name is Zugiswa Kota, and I'm from the Public Service Accountability Monitor. And yeah, our membership of the network has always been something really, really special for us, a really huge point of learning, point of sharing. And I think sometimes a really important space to be quite frank when certain things are not working for us. Noting Kay, and I'm really excited to see Kay in the fold again, although it's not like she left. I think she was a champion always anyway. But Kay's point about strategic, points of exciting strategic change, we right now at our organization are at a point where we're perhaps in the middle of a strategy, and some of the things that we've tested out or tried out, do require some support, some feedback, some input from others. In some aspects, we're stuck. So a very key focus of our work is around co-creation and collaborating with not only other civil society organizations, but also with our partner, GIFT Steward member, the National Treasury, and other government departments. One key area, and I think in the written feedback or in the written update, this was not something that we included, but one key area of work is around the open government partnership in our context. And in that context, many of the stewards within GIFT have done amazing work within the context of OGP and influenced by the principles of fiscal transparency and participation and everything that we learn in our network. We're finding at the moment that we're a little bit stuck in terms of moving forward and meaningful reform and action in the context of OGP and action in the context of, kind of steps forward where some of the areas around fiscal transparency and participation in particular are concerned. So that's one area where, in terms of what we're doing now, we're continuing to push to kind of have real, meaningful, transformative transparency in terms of budgets within the Open Government National Action Plan, which is currently underway. So this week, in fact, we're going to be engaging with the National Treasury and other partners and the lead department in that space to really try to advocate for meaningful progress. But this being a safe space, I think it is important to acknowledge that there's not been as much progress as we would have wanted in that space, but we're still pushing. And amongst those, of course, are issues of fiscal transparency that we're wanting to really advocate for. We've also become more recently more involved in the OGP space more globally, which is something that's quite exciting for us. And in terms of what we're doing now and what we plan to do, we really plan to kind of teach, spread the gospel, as it were, that we're learning in GIFT and all of the amazing work, particularly around advocacy. So both locally or in the national space and in the global space. I think many in the space have also been quite aware of the amazing steps forward around the Fiscal Openness Accelerator work that GIFT and IBP have done. I think without rehashing what everyone already knows in that space in terms of the pre-budget mechanisms that were piloted, at least in our context, we had 2 years of really what we feel were encouraging steps forward and encouraging buy-in from the executive in our context. So that's one thing that I think is worth calling a milestone and being really proud of, supported quite explicitly by IBP and GIFT. So now the question is, what do we do next? And perhaps that's the harder thing. And so what we're really hoping for is to kind of strategize smartly alongside the National Treasury and the partners there, to kind of understand what are the barriers, and how might we not lose what we feel is quite a meaningful gain. I think the pilot showed some really interesting uptake from civic actors and so on. I'm not going to go in for much longer. So that's what we've done at this point in supporting in the context of the advisory committee and the fiscal openness accelerator mechanism space. And now I think it really is up to us to kind of more meaningfully take the baton forward and deepen that work however we can, even if it is just about writing about it, advocating for it, spreading the message with others to kind of really add the pressure, as it were, and not adding pressure in a negative way, but in a collaborative way to provide support from outside. Lastly, well, maybe two last things. Also, we will continue to do our work for as long as IBP will have us and collaborate with us in the OBS. And I think in that space, we also see that as a meaningful way to put a star where mechanisms like the pre-budget mechanism exist, to say, these are things that have the potential to really take things forward and to really kind of hold the forward-looking nature of South African, budget context, as it were. I mean, Kay can speak, I know, for days and days about the work that it took to kind of reach those points of reform. The last then aspect is really around, something that isn't perhaps sometimes when you need to just dig in your heels, it's not as exciting as embarking on new projects. But the last thing, just to end off there, is to say that we're just going to continue to work with the National Treasury around the open budget data work and the Vulega Mali open budget data portal. At the moment, engaging around procurement, performance data, and so on. But there again, there is a sense that just holding still and holding tight and kind of being strong in a context is important, really leaning on some of what Carmela has shared as well. I'll stop there and not steal time from others. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Zuki. And I think the points you've made are really important. So at times, it's really not just about implementing new initiatives. We need to keep pushing the agenda and a lot of work has already been done. It's really important to see whether that transparency or those public participation mechanisms, whether they're really making a difference. Are they being transformative, as you say? What can we keep pushing? And how do we implement these mechanisms in such a way or make them sustainable and keep them going so that we actually get something meaningful out of it. So congratulations, Zuki, on all the work you've done up to now and for always pushing the agenda and asking the key questions like, we've achieved a lot, but are we getting what we wanted to get out of it at the end of the day? Key questions in this space. Thank you. Blanche, I see you've got your hand up. Just to confirm, did you have any questions for the participants, or did you want to provide an update from Bernard?
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. Bonjour à toutes et à tous.
Thank you so much. Good morning. My name is Blanche Sonon. I am the president who is part of the Citizen Control of Public Action. I do not have any questions right now. I just wanted to just congratulate you all and just to thank GIFT for this support that has been given to Benin, specifically for the civil society in Benin, because we have really moved forward in terms of budgetary transparency in Benin, and we have really focused on the budgetary monitoring for the transparency of the public finance management in Benin, in addition to the technical follow-up by GIFT. And we know that the civil society just started reinforcing its trust on the public dialogue in terms of budgetary transparency, and we saw more engagement from the public. So that has really made us understand that the public participation is one of the principles that we need to follow. And even we really got a very beautiful gift, which was the creation of a platform that works as some sort of scholarship and that allows us to just teach and educate our Benin citizens so that they can have an alternative proposal to learn more about budgetary transparency. So we are now invited to take part in the analysis of the finance law in 2024, not only when it is passed by the union and by the different civil society groups, but also we have worked with the Finance Commission. That's something that is unprecedented. And 2 weeks ago, the Parliament and the Assembly General just invited us to submit a document, a petition, so that we could just really submit what have been the priority needs of the Benin society. And well, thank you again for all of the training that we got from GIFT, and we really got to learn a lot. We have been working as well on a colloquium that is organized by the General Tax Department. I made a presentation already so that we can just bring it forward and continue talking about budgetary transparency. I think that it is important that we use this budgetary transparency as a key tool to communicate how these taxes and fees and in general all of these payments that are made by the society and how they're allocated. That is something that is going to help us, not only us as governors or part of the government, and not only at a local but also national level. So again, for all of these learnings and these beautiful gifts, I would like to thank GIFT, and I would also like to tell you that we are still continuing to work in Benin with the government to continue just increasing and raising more budgetary participation from the public. And also the Parliament has started with a training to strengthen the different skills that are needed to conduct a very detailed analysis of the budget for 2024. So that's what we have been doing in Benin, and I really appreciate your help for everything you have done.
Thank you very much, Blanche, for sharing that update with us. And as always, it's great to hear that the network has been able to assist you in Benin in pursuing the fiscal transparency and public participation goals that you have as a country. And that really shows a great example of how civil society is working really well with governments in pursuing this agenda, and how great strides are being made through initiatives such as the Fiscal Openness Accelerator project that was being undertaken with the assistance of the IBP and GIFT, and to build on that momentum from that project. So congratulations, and keep pushing the agenda. Now, if we can go back to Europe, to the Institute of Public Finance in Croatia. Mihaela Bronic, if you can kindly please provide your update. Thank you.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay,
thank
great.
you.
Great. Hello, everybody. It's really nice to see you all again. Very many familiar faces, and it's really nice to hear that there are many developments all over the world on our topics on the budget transparency and public participation. I'm Mihaela Bronic. I'm coming from the academic institution. Actually, I'm coming from the Institute of Public Finance. We were founded in 1970 by University of Zagreb, and we are researching topics of the public sector economics. some of our topics are also public participation and budget transparency. And I will just shortly tell you what we have done in last year. We are actually measuring local budget transparency from 2015, I'm sorry, for 9 years, and we are actually seeing great improvements. We are looking do all 576 our local governments, are they all publishing 5 key budget documents. For each year we are doing that, and since we started in 2015, they were on average publishing 1.6 document, and now in this latest round they are publishing 4.6 documents. So they are almost all publishing all 5 documents that we started to look at in 2015. And we are very proud with this project, since we think that we helped to change their view on the publishing of these on the importance of the publishing of the key local budget documents. And we are, since I said that we are academic institutions, we are not only measuring local budget transparency, we are also writing research papers. So at the moment we are looking on the impacts of local budget transparency on some economic and political variables. Since we have now a long database for 9 years and we have all local governments units, we can do a lot of research. And we are researching is local government budget transparency impacting budget credibility, results of the re-election, and voter turnout. These are the 3 of the papers that we are working on now. We are also working on open budget survey from 2006. And we are doing that every 2 years. And we are, when we finish each year, we do public releases to inform the public about the changes and what should be done to improve the budget transparency on the national level. And finally, we are a member of the Open Government Partnership. So we are trying to push for the improvements there also. I must say that I heard also before, it's not easy. It's not easy even in Croatia. The changes are really slow. Sometimes it seems even that we are going backward, but we are trying. Well, that is from our side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mihaela, and thank you for highlighting the role of different institutions in this process. So from an academic perspective, the research that you do is crucial in this space. We all rely a lot on the research to keep the agenda going, because we often, get asked, you've got all these theoretical arguments, where is the research that backs what you're saying? So thank you very much for pursuing that, a really key area in our work. And also congratulations on that great achievement of moving, I think you said, from 1.6 documents all the way from 4 to 4.6 out of 5. That is quite that is a remarkable achievement. So
yes, but I must say that we had a help actually, because we had some very cooperative people in the Ministry of Finance. So when we started researching, and then when we wrote a recommendation, they actually at some point included those recommendations in official recommendations in the laws. So that's why this was synergist change, can I say it like that? Because they also, from their side, they push for the change, because they saw in our research what were the problems and what we were suggesting. So they were also helping us from their side. So actually, we are now stopping the research with this methodology, because it doesn't have sense anymore, because almost all of them have 5. But maybe we will find some other measurements, because this is like very basic measurement, but it was easy for us to perform, and it and it actually, we needed like 10 years for all the governments to move from 1.6 to 5.6, for example. But
fantastic. It is a fantastic example of collaboration at its best. When you push for something and the Ministry of Finance comes to the party, so you get that great aspect where sometimes governments aren't publishing information not because they don't want to. Sometimes they actually don't know that they should be publishing this information. So if you've got someone from a country that is pushing for that, and the government realizes that, and this magic of collaboration happens, things can change really quickly. And I think it's also important not to underestimate the importance of sometimes the very basic and the simple things. It's not always complicated reforms that need to take place for great achievements. Sometimes it's basic things that have just been overlooked, possibly in the past. Sometimes the little things that are actually easy to measure are actually the ones that have the greatest influence over time. So thank you very much. So that brings us to the end of the people that were scheduled to provide some inputs. Is there anyone else that we do have some time that would like to provide some inputs? Any other Stuart? Oh, Paula Maneda from Uruguay. Dear Give Stuart. Paula, please go ahead. Thank you.
Hola, buenos días, buenas noches a
Hello,
todos
good
y a
morning, good
todas.
afternoon to everyone.
Wait. Aquí, ahora sí. ¿Se escucha? Sí.
Can you hear me? Yes. Well, first of all, I would like to say hi to everyone. Of course, it is a great pleasure to see you here and to share with you this moment. We were waiting for the meeting from GIFT and the exchanges that we always have. From Uruguay, I would like to say hi, and I would like to send you a big hug. Hopefully that these days are going to be very successful. So thank you for the staff from GIFT, Juan Pablo, Raquel, Marianne, everyone, and all the colleagues that I can see here in the meeting. It is a great pleasure seeing you. So we continue with the transparency portal. We keep pushing the work, but really we haven't had a great improvement in this last year. We are always proud of our tool, and we know that we need actually to rephrase and to have new priorities in order to achieve significant changes, and of course sustainable and significant, as I said before, and useful for people. So we are working on it. However, we are always pushing the work, pushing for transparency. I feel identified with what Suki said just before. Always willing to work, and of course, always working forward to strengthen with the transparency in all type of senses. We continue working in our commitment with open government that have some goals linked to the transparency portal, basically with the alphabetization of the budget, have that the 2024, and we're working on it. And the most important thing I would say, or what we have for 2024, is to incorporate in the portal all the budget information of non-statal institutions. That also requires to strengthen information, of course. So hopefully in the next meeting, we have some news for you. And hopefully we can get rid of these obstacles that we are facing nowadays. And of course, continue with the maintenance, with evolution maintenance of the portal, and trying to give more information of our next meeting. So thank you very much. and see you in the next sessions. A big hug for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paula, for providing that update. And yes, we're looking forward to what you're going to incorporate next in your portal. It sounds very exciting that you're going to incorporate information from different institutions that have not traditionally been there. We are always part of your journey, so we will be very excited to see those new developments in terms of your portal, and please do keep us abreast of any developments as they transpire. Thank
Can
you
you hear me, Raquel?
Sorry?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yes, I was just saying, sorry for the interruption, that I see that from the Oficina de Planeamiento y Presupuesto from Uruguay, we have also Janet López, muy querida amiga. Gracias por acompañarnos.
A very good friend of us. Thank you for being with us.
Janet is among us, and we are very grateful for that. Gracias. Thanks, Raquel. To you, please.
Great. Thank you, Jeanette. Great to have you here. Is there anyone else that would like to provide an update? Or at this point, I also invite if there's anyone that's got any questions for any of the presenters that have provided us with updates. If you'd like any more information, if anything intrigued you and you wanted to find out a little bit more, please feel free to ask any questions that you may have.
Veo, I see, oh, Lorena, I was going to invite you to, yes, take the floor. And I see, again, very, very close friends from Ministries of Finance, Argentina, Costa Rica, among others. So yes, if you can take a few minutes, we would be grateful. Gracias.
Thank you. So Lorena, over to you.
If you want to go first with the countries, it's fine. So we can hear from everyone.
No, tú ya estás
awesome.
enlistado.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Very nice to see you all. Happy to be among friends again and seeing everyone from different latitudes. From the IMF, as you know, we continue supporting capacity development related to fiscal transparency, and we have our fiscal transparency evaluation. It's gained some momentum and much more interest from countries around the world. We have more fiscal transparency evaluations ongoing in the MENA region as well, which were not having that much of demand at that time. We have also seen, and this is also for consideration for the GIFT network, a lot of interest on public investments management assessments. And particularly with the newer climate component, this is tied with the IMF's Resilience and Sustainability Trust Fund that helps low-income and vulnerable middle-income countries to build resilience on external shocks. And as you know, we look at the different institutions that are surrounding the public investments management. This includes the planning, the legislation, the fiscal rules around this, but of course the transparency and what are the institutional framework, and also even the digital infrastructure around that. Another thing that I wanted to highlight also for the network that might be of interest, it's a recent publication on making public debt public. And this is on ongoing initiatives and reform options that have to do with the topic of today's conversation, that is debt sustainability. So we are, of course, putting a magnifying glass on how to improve that transparency. We're working with the countries on this. And this is also paired, we have an update on the central bank's transparency code, which also has to do with some of these things that we're working on central bank digital currencies and how these impact fiscal transparency, recording, accounting, and so forth. And finally, in considering the public participation component, of course, our fiscal transparency evaluation, we keep joining and meeting with civil society when we have the fiscal transparency evaluations, but as well, we also have this component of looking at Supreme Audit Institutions independence. And we're working on this not only from the capacity development point of view, but also from the surveillance point of view. So this part where we have this interaction as well for the development of structural benchmarks and of course in the general Article 4's reviews. And finally, well, we have this session tomorrow on the guidelines for digital solutions for public financial management. We're going to be presenting this new product. This product, we brought it up for the gift network because we have discussed this in other general gifts steward when I was part of gifts, when I was part of the Ministry of Finance as well. But point being is whether you want to have transparency or not. If you don't have the data, then there is not much that you can do. And the systems are where you have the data. And so looking at the digital solutions for public financial management makes all sense for better fiscal transparency. So from that point of view, these guidelines that were just published look at data as the backbone for good PFM, but of course it's also the backbone for good fiscal transparency. And so we hope you can join us for tomorrow's session. We'll go in depth on this one. So that's about a very brief summary for you all. And it's so nice to see you.
Thank you very much, dear Lorena, for those key updates on the different assessments that the IMF is doing that are key, the FTEs, the PIMA, and we are all looking forward to your session tomorrow. It's very exciting work that is being done in that area. The guidelines are truly an important part that I think are going to assist a lot of governments, a lot of civil society in really bridging that gap between what often our IT people are saying. So sometimes there's a lack of communication between Ministry of Finance officials and all of their technical jargon, and the guidelines really make it easy to transition between those two. So we look forward to having that discussion on the guidelines and their practical implementation. Kay, did you have a question or a follow-up?
I think I'll come at the end. It's a comment that I want to make. Thank you.
Gustavo, all the way from Argentina, it's great to see you here. Please do go ahead and provide us with an update. Thank you.
Hola, buen día, buenas tardes.
Hello, good morning, good evening, good night to everyone. I'm going to speak in Spanish. Sorry for that. Well, first of all, I wanted to say hi, and I wanted to thank, as always, the participation and the possibility that you give to us of establishing this network and the fact that we can share our experiences as well. So regarding us, during this last year, we've been working actually very hard on trying to improve the transversal analysis, the cross-cutting budget, especially in sustainable environment and climate change and some other activities. We posted new content related with the performance of the different programs for the climate change, etc. Not only with the financial assignments, but also with the metaphysicals. And regarding the expectations that we have, I don't know if you know, but I'm pretty sure that you know, we're going to have a change with the government in 10 days. The new government, it's kind of, unpredictable, let's say. We don't know what is going to happen. So hopefully that we're going to keep this transparency agenda. And that reminds me, when we were in Portugal and Carmela was talking about the changement of the government with Bolsonaro. Anyway, something happened and we don't know what is going to happen later on. But hopefully that we're going to continue with the transparency agenda as much as possible. So whenever we have more news to share with you, we will share that with you. So far, nothing. I just wanted to take advantage of this space and time to just let you know what we've been doing, saying hi, and thank you for the opportunity once again.
Así que bueno, nada, por ahora estamos en eso.
So yeah, that's it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You've done a lot of work in that performance space and bringing in that data. So we hope you're able to continue on that journey and that it really does lead to a difference, and that transparency agenda does not stall, but continues. Juan Pablo, did you want to add in something related to Argentina?
Yes, just to highlight the importance of this network of people convinced, engaged, and willing to continue sharing their experiences, their progress, and sometimes the risk of backlash. What you are experiencing now, my very dear Gustavo, has been experienced in the past by our colleagues from the Philippines, from Brazil, from Mexico, and I must say practically in all countries we have sometimes bigger obstacles to address and to overcome to continue pushing this agenda. It is true that now in Argentina the uncertainty is enormous. Also true that for some positive, optimistic voices, there might be even opportunities to push down the accelerator on the agenda. But the main message for you, as we always say in this network, is that whatever it happens, we will be there to sustain, to encourage, and to support your efforts. Sometimes we need to take a low profile. Sometimes we need to almost be completely quiet. Sometimes we need to revolt and demonstrate and claim for the defense of what we believe in, for our mission. And in all of those reactions, we will be there for you. So no matter what, you're not alone. Gracias. Ánimo.
Yes, you're never alone in this journey when you've got the network behind you. Kay, would you like to, I'm going to give you the final word for the day. We're a few minutes over. So after you finish, then we're going to close. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. No pressure then. I hope what I'm going to say isn't going to sound hollow. And I think given what Juan Pablo has just said and the others that have spoken in between, just really wanted to appreciate the network. And I think we all, I mean, I'm again feeling very invigorated just being in the gift space. It's absolutely wonderful. And I think the key challenge is to just keep going and keep trying to find areas and approaches to the changes that we want. And at the same time, we're trying to move towards what we want. What we need is changing because the world is changing. So it's a catch-up game. And I love the gift space because it's always been a very energizing space. Just to put a point on it, I actually couldn't thank Juan Pablo enough and Gift enough for the work that we actually could do in South Africa. Both the work that we did once we started collaborating, which Suki will know about, but even way before then, I feel like Juan Pablo came to fetch me. He literally invited me to an event. And I think what really resonated was how we were going to make change, even though a lot of what we were doing in finance ministries, we thought it was the traditional way. You know, you have the accountability, you have the transparency, but we were going like, we're number one in the open budget index, and we've got problems, and we're not addressing them, and we're not seeing them, and we're checking all the boxes. So the only way or alternative that was sort of proposed, and a space to discuss that, was GIFT at the very beginning. And I think it's still GIFT. So I just wanted to say thank you very much to GIFT and to everybody, because the network is everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay, for those very inspirational words for the network, and for really showing how the network assists in practice, and how it was a crucial part of, or it is still a crucial part of South Africa's journey in this space. So I think there couldn't really be better closing words than that. So thank you for sharing that testimony. Now, as I said, I'm going to close the session, but before I do that, just a reminder that we've got session 2 coming up in a few hours' time. So the people on this side of the world are going to get a bit of rest in the Philippines, and we'll see you later tonight at 8 p.m. Washington, D.C. Time. We're looking forward to that session on user engagement initiatives and showcasing really what has transpired in the 2023 data quests and data rallies. Thank you all for a great session 1. We invigorated and looking forward to the other 3 sessions that form part of this meeting. Thank you. Good night, good day, good afternoon. Wonderful day further, and see you later. Bye.
Yes, thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Nice seeing you all again.
Mercy.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Dr. Ann, I see you there.
Yes, I am.
Welcome. Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome.
How are you